is you. So I'm using mic today because my voice is very not so big compared to Daisan and Ryan-san. So I'll be using mic. So yeah, good news. Today my topic will be clean code and what is bad code and good code. So I'll be expecting, wait a moment. So I'm expecting with you guys that most of us here are learning programming. So I believe if you are learning programming, that this topic is very beneficial for you, for beginners also. Okay, before I proceed to my main outline, I want to have myself introduction. I think guys have already introduced me, but I want to introduce myself. Hello world, I am Jeremiah Caballero, and I'm a web development team lead in Ars Academia, Philippines. And I am an advocate of clean architecture and clean code, meaning I really like to tell developers that always follow clean architecture and follow clean code. Next is I'm an active member of Laravel Cebu. It's a community here in Cebu. Also React.js Cebu, JavaScript Cebu, and Vue.js Cebu. So I've been joining some events of these communities like boot camps and code camps, etc. And then I have my own community also, which is Codex. So if you want to ask questions about it more, then you can approach me later. If you want to know more about me, you can follow me in my Medium, Jeremiah JC, in my Instagram. Want to see my photos, Caballero Jeremiah, and my Twitter, yeah, you can follow me. Okay. Enough said of my self-introduction. First of all, I want you to know this book. So this book is very famous, written by Robert C. Martin, and the author is very famous also. This is a recommended book for those developers or engineers who wants to organize their code. It's also understandable, even for beginners, it's very understandable. And I think there's Japanese version.
Yeah, we have Japanese version here.
Yeah, there's Japanese version. So, I just want to say that everything here that I present is basing from this book. It's not from my own idea. So, I just want to share what this book taught me on how to identify bad code or good code. Okay. First, I want to show you some outline. Just 4 basic things. I want to discuss about clean code, and then I want to teach you how to write meaningful language. Third is I want to write also functions, how you correctly write functions, and then I want to show you how to write comments. Okay, let's start. I have a quote here. This is coming from the author. It says here, master programmers think of systems as stories to be told rather than programs to be written. So remember this quote as we discuss the following parts, because later you will understand why the author said this. So clean code. What and why is clean code? Why did the author wrote this book? So it says in the book that the mission of this series is to improve the state of art of software craftsmanship. Well, English is so very hard, also for me. At first I don't understand. But later, I will describe why the author said that it's to improve the state of art. Why is coding like art? So what is in this book? It's more about principles and recommendations about how to write code in a cleaner way. To understand more why this book is a must-read for developers, we will talk in the next slide. So, one of the reasons why the author created this book is to solve one thing, and that is bad code. So bad code are hard to read, hard to maintain, and hard to test. who are beginners here in programming? Have you tried to read your code lately, if you understand well? Or have you let your friend read your code? Okay? So yeah, think about it. So, bad code is a struggle for developers, meaning bad code is bad for developers. And also bad code is a struggle for new developers. If you try to create a big application, like for example Facebook, the code will grow bigger. And when it grows bigger and some bug in Facebook will pop up, it will be hard to locate the bug because even your code itself, you cannot read the code. Later, I will give you an example of what bad code is, and I will give you some solutions on how to write good code. So, how do we identify good code? Simply, you cannot read the code. That's all. That's a bad code. For new developers, try to read your friend's code. Read your friend's code if you can read it. So next is the book. The book is promoting the art of clean code. So the book says that consider code as a piece of art. How many of us here knows how to draw or paint? Draw. So like drawing portrait like this, like anime, drawing anime, drawing manga. So, yeah, in drawing, do you appreciate this one? Do you understand who this is? No, right? It's a bad drawing. That's it, it's a bad drawing. Compared to this one, right? It's very good. Now, as an artist, you give details to hair, to the eyes, and to the lips. Now, the book of Clean Code says that it's like writing code also. So, writing code is like painting. So, if you are writing code like you don't understand, it's a bad code. So that's why the author said that it's to improve the state of art in writing code. So what is clean code actually? So what is we know that it's to solve the bad code, we know that it's an art. What is clean code? So it is to write code with elegance. Elegance is a big word, so we will search in Google. So dictionary says, it's the quality of being graceful and stylish in appearance or manner or style. You can see here from the image, it's very good penmanship, right? So later, I will show you some examples of code, of how you can appreciate that it's really like a state of art. Okay, I will show you how with first writing names. In our program, we name everything. Our variables, our functions, we name them. So we must make sure that those names are understandable. Sorry. So first point, use intention revealing names. I hope that you take note of this because this is very useful. This is very useful. No, sorry. So use intention revealing names. It is easy to say that names should reveal its intent. So I have an example here. So, do you understand this? I have an example here where I want to store first name and last name in X and Y. Without this comment, do you understand that these variables are for last name and first name? I think no, right? So, in the book, this is bad code. Usually, as we start, we use variable X, variable Y, variable A, B, C, D, E, F, G, any letters. So, in actual coding, when you are in a team, most developers have is the purpose of this variable? So we don't understand. What if we do this one? We remove the comment, and then we specify the intent of the variable. So instead of X, you replace it to first name and last name. Currently, now we can understand that this variable is for storing the first name and last name. So that is the first point, that we must use intent revealing names. So the name itself must show what's its purpose. Okay? Another example. Do you understand this function? Not so, right? Because we have X, and we have num, and we have that X array. Now, what is the problem? What does it mean? What does X mean? What does it get? What is num? What does this function do? It just said get them. How about if we do like this? We have a number sequence, and then if the function is get each number from sequence, and then we specify here number of sequence and display the number. So right now, we understand that we want to display the number from the number sequence, right? Compared to this code, what is the purpose of X? What is get them? So we need to specify the name of our functions and variables so that it will be easy to understand. Another point is that you use pronounceable names. So just like words, code is pronounceable, meaning it's easy to say. I want you to read this one. Can you read the variable? I will try to read it. Date DTN record 102. Genin DHMS. Is that a word? Is that an English word? PSZQ int. So it's not understandable at all. To solve this problem, you must use words that are pronounceable, which is this one. Class customer, generation timestamp, modification timestamp, and record ID. So right now, it's more understandable compared to this one. So clearly, this is bad code. Another point is use searchable names. Currently, we have projects, in real projects, we have a lot of files. And for example, most code, you try to name it like this. Very, very many variable X, very many variable Y. And when you try to use VS Code or Sublime Text and search it, search keyword X, it will display a lot of files. And which is hard to locate, right? Like you want to edit one file, but when you search the keyword, it displays many files. So what the book suggests is that we must use searchable names. So another bad code example is we use a lot of single letter variable. So like J and T and S. So single letter names are good only for public, like local functions. But in the code, like for global variables, it's not very advisable. So what we need to do is we need to use searchable names like number of tasks. So when you try to search that in your IDE, it will display this function. So it's easy to locate the files. It's easy to locate the code using with specific names. So I hope you're not using X and Y in your variables or in your functions. So always use searchable names. Okay, now we're done with naming. It's time to show you how to name our method. Method should have verb or verb phrase. So a verb is an action word. So verb methods like get, save, delete, post. So you don't name a function like name. Like for example, name function. You must put action word like get or save or run, like that one. So use verb methods. Now this is a good example also. It shows here that the function will get this. So it's using action word. So in your code, when you're creating a function, you must use action words also. Now we are done naming our methods. Let's go deeper with functions. Now, as you can see, the first point here is small. Now the first rule of functions is that they should be small. What's the meaning of they should be small? This is a sample of a function. So this is a static function to render an HTML view. So you can see it has a lot of things right here. So what the book suggests is create a function that is short, not too long. To solve this one is we need to do this one. So the function is still the same, but we make it shorter, right? We created a function that is include, setup, and tear down big pages. And now it's short. So the book suggests that when you create functions, you create it small. And which is related to my next point, is that a function must do one thing. So again, we have here this example. This one is just to render page with setup and tear down. But it has doing a lot of work currently. So it's trying to get the test page, the new page content, include setup page. But what we need to do in that function is just to determine whether the page is a test page. Now, if so, including setups and teardowns, and then render the page in HTML. So this is just what we need. This one should be a different file, different method. This function should only render the HTML page, nothing else. So keep that in mind. I think most of us here are doing web development also. So if you have functions right now that are very big, try to challenge yourself with how to make it small, how to separate the functions itself. Now we're done with most variable naming and then function naming. I'm going to introduce you how to write comments. So there's also good comments. Some comments are necessary or beneficial, actually. So one comment that is good is legal comments. Some use this for like copywriting in their company. Depends on the company actually. They want to put copyright in their code. So it's a good comment. Another is an informative comment. So you can see here that there's information of what the function do. So you put an information where it is easy to understand. This is also helpful, like if you are a new developer, you come into the company and you're a new developer. Mostly, this comment saves time. Because why? Because the newbie doesn't need to like, hey, help me with this code. Doesn't need to chat with senior developer, like, can you explain me this code? So it saves time in explaining. So you just need to read the comment, the information of this function, and then you understand it, right? So this is a good comment, putting information on what the function will do. Another good comment is warning of consequences. Another, this saves time. Because for example, a new developer again will come in and try to test the web application or any application, and then he accidentally run this function without a comment. So he accidentally run this function, not knowing that it's not good to run this function. It's only, we need to run this function only like if we need to stop a process. So warning of consequences, like think here, for example, that comment here below, this one. It says here, don't run unless you have some time to kill. So you must not run this function unless you have a process to kill. So as a new developer, you understand that this function is dangerous if you run it, right? So this comment is really good, like for information for new developers also. And also, it's also good for us, like if we already have 5 years of development and then we forgot this function, we can easily understand, this function is dangerous because there's comment. So that's, comments are good in putting information that this comment is dangerous or only run this one time, something like that. So these three I mentioned are good comments. If we have good comments, we have also bad comments. So we have one example here, redundant comments. As you can see here, there's a function, wait for close, and it throws an exception. So an exception is like error message if something is. So we also put here a comment, which is explaining what does the wait for close do. It's redundant somehow because we understand this function is throwing an exception, but we repeatedly say it here is throwing an exception. Somehow the information is redundant, it's repeated. So it's no use, it's just waste time. As a developer, I would just read this function instead of this one. So you're just wasting lines. Another point is noise comments. This is also an example of redundancy. You can see here that I declare private variable day of month. And then I specify comment the day of the month. So you're explaining it again. So the comment itself, you don't need to write this because it's already here. Unless you have a different intention for this variable, you don't need to write this to repeat like the date of the month because it's already here. So those are noise comments. And I hope that it will not be, you will not apply this in your code. Another thing is more scary noise comments. So mostly developers, like in actual development, we're doing docs, like documentation in our code so that it will be more understandable for future developers. And we have some like private variables, this for example, like name, version, license name. As you notice, we put comments here, same name with the variable name. Again, it's wasting another line because you're already specifying here in the variable name what is this variable, and you're explaining it again in a comment, which is very bad, very bad. That's a bad way of doing comments. So you need to remove that one. That is bad code because this variable name is enough to understand. I understand that this is license name, this is info, this is version. You don't need to put comments. So I hope, guys, that you will not implement these bad comments. You will apply the good ones. So, yeah, I discussed here some pointers about clean code. So what is clean code? We know the purpose that the clean code is to solve the problem of bad code. And then next, we know how to write meaningful names by using intent revealing names, using pronounceable names, using searchable names, and method names. And then we learn how to correctly write functions like make it shorter and make it shorter, and it must do one thing only. And lastly, we learn about how to write comments, what is good comments and what is bad comments. So, again, Robert C. Martin said that a master programmer think of system as stories to be told rather than programs to be written. So we can see that when you are a programmer or developer, you must not write like you must write with caring with other developers, with care with other developers. Meaning, you need to put names, make names that are understandable for programmers. Write code that is understandable with humans. That even a non-developer can read the code. So that is one good example of clean code. So that's all from my sharing. So if you have questions, you can raise your hand.
Yeah, if you have some questions, please raise your hand. Maybe you need to start. So later, when we start to have the lunch, pizza, something approach. As additional information, so as Jeremiah shared, this is the clean code written by Martin. Robert C. Martin. Robert C. Martin is one of the most famous programmers in the world. So this group is one of the series of the clean code. This is clean code. It's very thin. But this is one of the basis book every developer should read in the world. And then there is also some series. This is the clean coder. Clean coder is a kind of mind-setting book for to be the better developer. Yeah, this one is another series. And then, what Jeremiah likes mostly is one another clean code series, clean architecture. So if you read this book, you can understand what kind of architecture, software architecture is good and beneficial and maintainable or something like that. So if you read this book, you can also understand the history of programming. Okay. 日本語で喋りますけど、この本を読むと、1960年代くらいからプログラミングのパラダイムって、アラン・チューリングっていうコンピューターを作った人がコンピューターを生み出したタイミング以降の55年くらいだったんですね。本当の意味でのチューリングマシンみたいなものが生まれたので、その頃からプログラミングのパラダイムって3つのパラダイムしかなくて、コード型プログラミングと列席型プログラミングと関数型プログラミングっていうこの3つのプログラミングパラダイムしかなくて、歴史的にもコンピューターサイエンスの中でプログラミングの書き方っていうのは60年前に戻っても同じ3つのパラダイムで動いてるんですよね。なので、プログラミングのパラダイムをちゃんと勉強したりとかすれば、今のテクノロジー、最近関数型言語が流行ってきてるんですけど、その関数型言語っていうのはなぜ流行ったのか、どういうベネフィットがあるのかっていうのを、50年の歴史とか紐解けば余裕で見えるんですよ。なので、プログラミングとか勉強する際には、目の前でコード書くだけではなくて、reading this kind of book is very important because you can understand the history of the programming and the essence of the kind of essential concept of the programming itself and computer science. So this kind of Robert C. Martin is very important actually. And then for the better coding, maybe readable code is also another recommendation. So this one is also another type of beneficial book to understand how to write the very difficult and very readable code. So that's the appendix.